All right, great. So talking about Swarm, what is Docker Swarm? Why do we have Docker Swarm, first of all? So if you see this, that let's say mm, we have one machine on which what we are doing, we are kind of, okay, let me make it a little smaller. So this is, let's say, a physical machine on which we are putting, I'll take a different color. We are putting a containerization platform over here, right? On top of it, what I'm going to do, I'm basically going to take the small containers and keep them seated over here, right? So there is, let's say, one container, right? Container like that. But just understand this one, that this particular thing is always deploying on the same machine, right? They're always deploying on the same machine. So it is not exactly a clusterized format. And when you do not have a clusterized format, it becomes really difficult. Means what I mean to say is that now, if one machine is all what you are using, this kind of an architecture is called a monolithic architecture. Okay, monolithic architecture means what? Means everything is happening on the same machine, right? Monolithic architecture gives you a single point of failure. Correct? I think you will be hearing me typing things. On a laptop, it is very silent. On desktop, it is like, you know, big typing things I'm doing. So what happens? It becomes a single point of failure, which means that whenever, if this machine is down, everything is down. So that is not considered as a very good design. In fact, it is considered as the very, the worst design possible. So what do we have in the other hand? Well, we can go for multiple machines. Let's say this is a machine, right? This is a machine, three machines, for example. I'm just giving you an example, three machines. It can be, in reality, it can be, 1,200, sorry, I mean 2,000, 5,000, whatever. So each of them is running a Docker installation. Okay. And when you launch container, let's say I want to launch three containers for Apache 2 or HTTPD. Okay. So I can put one container here, one container here, and maybe the other container here. So this is, let's say, HTTPD container. I want to, let's say, launch MySQL 4 containers. I can launch one, two here, let's say, right? And two here, maybe possibly, or maybe one here, right? I want to launch, let's say, one container of, oh, that one became red. Okay, fine. Let me draw another one over here. So I want to launch, let's say, two containers of, for example, Nginx server. So one is, let's say, here, one is, let's say, here. So in this way, what we're doing, we're distributing the thing. So if you see, now this become a little bad. The green one should have come over here. So the main idea is, even if two machines are out, we'll still have one container left. I drew it a little wrong. I mean, I should have drawn the green over here and the blue over here. Then it would have been making more sense like this. Okay. So if you see, if out of three, one machine also goes, still we have the other things left. So more or less it is distributed, right? So the chance of failure is less, right? Are you all clear on this part? Yes, guys?
Can you explain again?
What I told is that when you have multiple machines, you are putting the Docker, engine on all of them, and you're kind of launching the containers here and there. And this entire thing is considered as a single system. Then there is a little bit less chance of failure, isn't it? I mean, if one machine also goes down, you still have the other machines that is serving in the same containers. Right? So you never run out of the service, because each container, if we consider as a service, right, we never really run out of service. So this is the benefit of having what? Having a clusterized environment. Make sense? Yes? Hello?
Vishay.
Yeah, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So how this thing works, see, let us say this machine over here, let's say, goes down. Okay, I'll just draw using, let's say, red color. So this machine goes down. Immediately what will happen? It had one, two, three containers, right? The two blue and one green container. So they will be immediately adjusted on these machines. It will be automatically migrated. Let's say something like this. Okay. Oh, it become, okay. Whatever, something like this. They'll be automatically migrated to these machines. So when one machine leaves, it goes down for certain reason. These things will be migrated to the other machines that are participating in a cluster. This is the benefit of using a clusterized environment. So this is a clusterized architecture, right? Multiple machines supporting and migrated upon unavailability. Clear?
Vishal, if one
Hmm.
machine goes down, don't you think so? It will be more traffic.
More
How it
traffic?
how it is going to balance?
More traffic means?
Like let's say if one application is running in one of the machine,
Uh,
if a lot of people are accessing, then definitely load will be more, right?
that is why you have multiple containers, now. One container, let's say the green container, if you see, let's say one here, one here, one here, one here. So there are four replications of the same thing running. So one guy will go here, one will go here, one will go here, one will go here. Again, the fifth guy goes here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like that. Na?
Yeah, but if two machines goes,
Two machines goes down, number of containers do not decrease, right? It is just that they're coming on the same physical host. But see, when this machine went, these two blue came out over here. So total number of blue did not decrease.
so
Total number of
how it comes to from one machine to another machine? Is it
that is how that's how it happens in cluster. That is why people go for cluster. Cluster means altogether it is a system. It is considered all the machines together forming one system. So if one goes down, two goes down, doesn't matter. The others will be automatically migrated. That is automated. That is what cluster is. Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
Morning, get this side.
Eh? What?
Hello, Vishal. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes. Tell me what.
Okay, Vishal, this feature,
Hmm.
what we are discussing, like one container goes down and the second one will be up and it will be managing the traffic or load.
Hmm.
So, same kind of feature we also have in S3, right? That cloud front feature. Is it? I just want to understand if the fundamental is same for both the.
CloudFront feature is CloudFront is specific to AWS cloud, right? It is
Yeah.
DevOps. Here it is a
Yeah,
different
no.
thing.
My concern is like the fundamental is same. Means,
Fundamental thing is same.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. We will see doing it. Don't worry. I'll practically show you this thing right now. Okay, are we clear on this part, guys? Everybody. If machine goes down, it is automatically migrated. If another machine comes up, if it finds that there are too much of load going on this one, it might migrate it to there, right? So it is like automated load balancing that is happening on from the uh, container point of view. Load balancing not on the traffic point of view, not like AWS load balancing. Load balancing from the container point of view, right? Are we clear on this, everybody?
yeah, Vishal.
Okay. Someone is going and coming. I'm always hearing sounds. Okay. So now let us try to see how this thing works, right? So we have got Docker Swarm for this. There are two things who can do this. Number one, Docker Swarm. Number two, Kubernetes. Okay. And take a look at Docker Swarm today. Kubernetes we shall do tomorrow or sometime. Okay, let's try to do that. I got this machine. Let me quickly go ahead and log in into this machine. So I have downloaded MobiXterm on this computer. Let me start it. Okay. Sessions. Let me add a session. Oh. What are we supposed to do over here? What is this? Public network. Allow access. Okay, cool. Nice. So we shall start with Docker Swarm init. Okay. Now see this. So let us say I have to initialize my Swarm cluster. So I have to start with the command that says Docker Swarm init. Okay. So what I shall do is that I will be like I can start my Swarm in a folder or something. Anyway, finally let's do it completely over here. So let me first switch on the Docker service, right? And also let me add my user over there. Let me quickly go ahead and let me start the initialize the Docker Swarm cluster, right? So the command goes like Docker Swarm init. Array. This is the command, right? Docker Swarm init. That will start the Docker Swarm server, I mean cluster. See this. It is telling that current node is now a manager. To add a worker node to the swarm, run the following command: Docker Swarm join token, whatever, etc., etc. To add a manager, token manager. Right, great. So now let us understand what this terminology mean. What is a manager? What is a worker? Coming back to my pent. Okay. Okay. Swarm manager and swarm worker. So manager is the node or nodes. It can be multiple also. Okay. From which we control the clusterized deployment. Okay. I'll tell you what it means. Worker, the nodes where we do not have control of deployment but can be used for deploying containers. What do I mean by this? Let's understand. So manager will be, so see how it works. So we instruct the manager that we need, let's say 10 replications of, let's say container X. Some container called X is there. I want 10 replications of that. Okay. Can I make it a little bigger? Font size. Okay. So we instruct the manager we need 10 replications of container X. Okay. So then what will happen? Manager will launch 10 replications anywhere on the entire cluster. Okay. Means it can be on a manager node, it can be on a worker node, it can be on, like how many ever nodes you have got, right? So it can be doing it anywhere in the entire cluster. It can go ahead and it can do the things, right? That is the idea basically, right? So it will do that anywhere in the cluster. Let's say if I have this is my manager node, fine. Let's say this is my manager. I'll just copy it from there. Let's say these three are there, and these three are my manager. Sorry, I mean basically nodes that I have in my cluster. Okay, nodes means what? Means servers. Okay. So let us assume this is my manager, and this is my workers. What will happen? So we shall always ask our manager to go for deployment. We shall. So let's say if we are sitting up over here, we will always ask this guy that hey, we want to go for a deployment. Right? When we ask this guy that I want to launch, let's say 5 containers, what it will do? It can launch these 5 containers anywhere, wherever it wants, right? So that means 5 containers can be, one is here, one, two is here, let's say two is here, right? It can do anywhere it wants. It itself also participates in the cluster. It is not that only the workers will be running the deployments. No, deployment can be done anywhere. Let's say I want to launch another two containers. It might launch one here, one here. Okay, I want to launch another, let's say, like one container. It might launch here. I want to launch another 2 containers, so it might launch here, like this. So it will decide where to launch. So if we give it to manager will automatically supply it to the workers and do the things. So we do not need to go and log in everywhere and do the things. We don't need to do that. Clear? Yes, guys.
Yeah, Vishal.
And in case you have multiple managers, you can tell to anybody. So they all will do the same thing. Remember the fact to remember over here, manager also participates in the cluster. It is not that manager just takes and forwards to the workers. No, manager is like more like a class monitor. So everybody is a student, everybody does their all tasks, but the class monitor additionally has the responsibility to get the Xerox copies of the teacher's note to the students. Okay. So that's what it is. So it is like a little bit more job it is to do if it is a manager. And typically any worker can do the same thing. A manager does the same thing as a worker with the extra privilege of giving deployments to other people and deciding who to give. Okay. This is the idea. So you can see it is telling us that if you want to now if we want to join a manager master or so this is a manager, right? I'm going to call this thing manager node, right? So you want to make it a manager, you want to make it a whatever. The first thing we need another machine where we can join it as a worker, right? So let me quickly launch another machine. We'll launch another machine. We'll take whatever it comes, right? Review and launch desktop nv kp launch instances. So let this machine launch first. So this is, I should have launched 2 machines. Anyway, fine. Let us work with one worker, not an issue. So this is going to be my swarm, right? Worker. Fine. This is the manager, swarm manager. So let me take this IP address. Let me come to my mobile external. Let me quickly start a new session. So I made these changes over here so that you can identify which one is which one just by look and the feel. Okay, the look and feel will be very different in both of them. Can I show them side by side or something like that? Do I have an option? Is there an option to show them side by side? I don't think so, right?
Yeah,
Split.
there is a split. Yeah.
Now, what happened here? Oh, okay. I can select like this. All right. So I'll just rename this one. I cannot rename it anymore. That's bad. That's extremely bad. Rename. Yeah. Let's call this thing worker node. Okay. Install Docker. All right, great. So now let us go ahead and let us try to actually. Uh, so I want this machine to join the swarm of this machine. Okay. I want this machine to join the swarm of this machine. Join this group. Actually, let me sudo service docker start sudo user mod ag ec2 sorry docker ec2 user exit and restart. Okay. So I wanted to log into this particular, join this particular swarm. If I wanted to do it, I wanted to see first of all one particular thing. Oh, this thing got hidden over here. Look at this. This guy works on, it is talking about the private IP of this machine, which is 172.31.43.7. And connector port number 2377. That means we need to first of all open up port number 2377, which we have not opened in security group. So this connection is accepted on port number 2377. So on the inbound security, I need to open it up, right? Which simply means that I need to allow port number 2377. Otherwise, it will not work out. So this is about network security, nothing to do with DevOps. So for the people who have not done AWS earlier, don't worry about it. Okay, I'm just opening up port number from the firewall. That's it. Okay. So I just opened up port number 2377. So now I can join. So this is how you can add a worker to this particular swarm. So you can see it says that this node joined the swarm as a worker. So if I come over here, Docker swarm node ls, sorry, I think it is Docker node ls, something like that. Yes, so I'll find out there are two nodes running. See, one is this one is this one. Two nodes are there. This guy's IP address is 172.31.40.43.7, and this is 172.31.45.82, which is this one. Over here you can see, right? The first one is a leader. Leader means manager, leader, right? So it will be written over there. So this is the guy that is the main manager. And this is of course a worker. So it is not showing up over there like that, right? So Docker node ls will show you all the nodes that you have with yourself. Okay. Are you all clear so far? So now we have joined the swarm, right? Yes, guys?
Yes.
Great. Let us go for doing some deployment over here, right? So now if I want to do some deployment on, let's say this one, your what do you call it, basically over here in the swarm mode, I want to do some deployments, right? So what we need to do is that we need to basically go ahead and we need to write down the commands for swarm mode deployment. In the swarm mode, when you try to deploy, there are two types of deployment. Just like in a normal, also if you remember, normal Docker, we did two kinds of deployments, right? One was your typical deployment where we just pulled an image and we kind of did it, right? So just like we do Docker pull and then we kind of did it. So that was one way of doing deployment. And another way of doing deployment was basically when we went for the Docker files and then built it using Docker Compose and then did it. The similar thing happens over here also. We have one is like simply you can directly go ahead and do a deployment over there, right? So that is one simple way. Nobody does that, but still you can do it. Simply you can run some deployment on swarm mode so that it is deploying in multiple machines. And another one that is exactly what we did over there, right? So using your Docker Compose and all those things. So that is basically when we try to do something known that is called a stack deploy over here. Okay, so when you try to do it using what, using Docker Compose on a swarm, that is known as a Docker stack deploy. Always remember this terminology. What is Docker stack deploy and what is Docker swarm deployment? When you say Docker swarm deployment, we mean simply deploying on Docker swarm. But when we are talking about Docker stack deploy, we are talking about when we are trying to completely deploy something using all those things, your complete Docker files and then Docker compose, and then asking it to get deployed on the Swarm cluster. That is called a Docker stack deploy. So anyway, if we want to do a typical Docker deployment, then we call it, we do not call Docker run, Docker pull like that. We say Docker service. Okay. In Swarm, the commands change a little bit. We call it Docker service create. Okay. I'll show you the help of this Docker service create. So all these things are there. All these things you can do using our Docker service create. Okay. So how it works? Well, it works like this. You have to write down Docker service create, and then you have to write down which image you want to go for, right? So first of all, we will be running in detached mode, right? So dash D, you can see exit immediately instead of waiting for the service to coverage, right? Acha. Lot of things you can do actually when we run something, okay? But typically the idea is that you have to go for Docker service and then image, which image you want to take, right? So you can see there are a lot of options. So let us see which all options we shall be using, right? Label list, right? Service labels. You can put some labels to your service, and these kind of things you can do. So where we want to go for, let's say, for example, Docker service create, and then basically the image name. So let us say I want to take the image of HTTPD, for example. Okay. I think this will work out. I forgot to write down dash D. It is showing us preparing, starting. Service converged. Okay, basically what happened over here, so now we created a service called HTTPD. If you see Docker container ls, will you find out anything on Docker PS? Yes. Here is your this guy running. So just see how easy it was, right? HTTPD is running. Now, unfortunately, we did not do a port mapping. We should have done a port mapping. Since we did not do a port mapping, this particular thing is not being shown. But you can see this particular thing is working, right? HTTPD downloaded and it is running it. We just wrote Docker service create and the image name. That's it. So we did not replicate also. So it is running on this machine. On this machine, if you do a Docker PS, you will not find it. It is not there, right? So at this point of time, what it did, it kind of launched it over there, right? It could have launched it over there also on the right hand side machine, but no, it didn't do it. So that is because we just ran one single installation. We just did one single installation, and that particular installation or that particular command took over there. So now we can go for replication, right? We can now go for replication. When you go for replication, then we shall find out that multiple these things are coming up, right? So let us see how we can replicate, right? So if you come back to your server, sorry, this one, you will find out there is something known as replicas, right? These replicas will be helping you out in replicating this particular thing. Let us go and let us kill this particular service, right? So Docker service, I think it is RM, and then the service name or the container name. I can directly put this one also. Okay. No, it will not work out. I have to go for Docker RM. Then it will work out. You cannot solve. Okay. I need to stop the service. Okay. Docker service stop. Remove container. You can remove running container. Okay, fine. Docker RMF or Docker stop. You do paste it. This guy is gone. Then Docker RM. I can paste this one. It's gone, right? So it is clear completely. So now you will go for Docker. This one, nothing is there. A PS. It will be empty. Destroy. Oh, see this thing. Nice. I like it. See this thing. What happened? I deleted the container. This is what happens when a container dies. I deleted the container, but since I registered it as a service, it automatically started to answer. You can see 6 seconds ago. Right? So if I go for, let's say, deleting this one, right, it will always run only one replication because I told it to run only one replication. If I go like Docker RMF and I kind of copy paste this one, right, and you go for Docker PS once again, you'll find out right now nothing is there. Nothing is verified for some time. See, it came up, right? It immediately comes up. because there is a service running. If I go for Docker service stop HTTPD, okay, wait a second, it is not stop, it is PS. Docker service PS HTTPD. Sorry, that what am I doing? Hang on a second. Docker service PS. Then I would need to write down, I think, the service name. Possibly remove one or more service. PS is the list of the services of one of more services. Okay. Docker service RM. Hang on a second. And let me write down this container name. Let us see if it works. No. Okay. How do they write it? HTTPD will work. Okay, hang on a second. There's a way to kill this. Let me go for Docker service ls first. Let me find out what all services running. Okay, fine. It is numbing with recursing board. This is the name it took. Okay, that is why it is not taking. Anyway, I can kill with the ID. So Docker service RM and paste the ID. Right. So now you have deleted the service. At this point of time, if you see Docker PS, you will see it is empty. Docker PS all, it is empty. Right. So we can directly run it as a service. Now, why did not? So what happened? Say, I said that Docker service create HTTPD. It downloaded HTTPD. If you go to Docker images, you will find out that HTTPD is there, right? Tag none means it is taking the latest version. So it took it and it ran it automatically. As soon as I wrote Docker service create. After doing it, what it did, it automatically created that thing. And since I told that it always has to run with that one, it is like a, it is like a auto scaling group of AWS. Just to draw a reference, if you say the minimum and the maximum is the same number in our auto scaling group, minimum is also 3, maximum is also 3. It will always run 3 machines. If you delete, it will again create one, right? Automatically. That thing it was doing, and it will continue doing till the point you actually delete your auto scaling group. Similarly, over here, since I told it to run one replica, what it did, it ran one replica, but it ran, it was running on this particular machine. So it kept on running that particular replica till every time I am deleting the container, it is automatically running it, right? And this is why when if let's say one is running over here, I completely leave the swarm from this machine, I leave the cluster, it will automatically come back to here. Why? Because it is registered as a service. It will make sure always whatever the available number of resources you have on those particular resources, this particular thing is this many number of services are running. It will automatically make sure. That is why it automatically comes up if it goes down in somewhere, right? Are you all clear on this part, guys? Yes. Hello. Okay. Others? Can I get a response, please?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. So now, see, I will let me delete the Docker image once again. Okay. So let me just show you once because is deleted. What is it called? So you can see it is empty, right? In case you are confused, I'll just show you once again because I just got response from only 2 people. Not sure about others. Okay, see what I did. Docker service ls, if you do, it will show you what all current services are running on, right? So right now there is nothing. So what I want to do, I want to create a service, Docker service, okay? Create, and I'll write down HTTPD or something, let's say MySQL, right? So I have to create a service of MySQL database, okay? Or let's say Nginx, for example, okay? I want to create a service of MySQL database. Let me do some replicas over here. No, I think I have to do it after this or before this. Let us see. Let us do it at the end. Replicas equals to, let's say I'm saying 5. I have to run 5 replicas. Let us see. Okay, it is doing it. See, 1 out of 1 preparing, right? So I just wrote Docker service create Nginx replicas equal to 5. So it should run 5 replicas wherever it wants, right? It may run all the 5 over here. If there is enough RAMs free over here, it might run all the 5 over here. It might use this one, right? It depends.
हाय विशाल, अंकित
हम्म,
here.
हम्म,
तो
tell
विशाल,
me.
ये डॉकर यूज कहाँ पे करते हैं, मतलब प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम में कहाँ पे यूज होता है?
प्रोडक्शन पे ही यूज होता है।
हाँ, कैसे? क्योंकि मैंने मतलब हमारे यहाँ यूज नहीं होता, मुझे आइडिया नहीं है इसका।
आपके वहाँ व्हाट?
मेरी कंपनी में डॉकर यूज नहीं होता है, मुझे आइडिया नहीं, मतलब
डॉकर
क्या?
प्रोडक्शन में यूज होता है कहीं भी। लेट्स सी योर प्रोडक्शन सर्वर, ऑन द सर्वर you want to install these things, right? So you'll be going for dockers. So I mean just think about it. You missed the docker introductory session, did you?
या राइट.
अच्छा, तो पहले तो वो वीडियो आप देखना सबसे पहले बैठ के, वरना समझ में नहीं आएगा। बिकॉज आई ऑलरेडी टॉक्ड अबाउट ऑल दिस थिंग्स कि व्हाई वी आर यूजिंग इट, व्हाट इज द बेनिफिट ऑफ यूजिंग इट, व्हाट हैपेंस इफ वी डू नॉट यूज इट, हाउ वी कैन ओवरकम ऑल दोस प्रॉब्लम्स बाय यूजिंग इट। ये सब चीजें ना वहाँ पे मैंने बोली हुई है।
जी जी.
ओके, सो जस्ट गो थ्रू दैट वन, जस्ट टू गिव यू अ ब्रीफ कि देखो, you are packaging every single thing in a container and you are kind of giving it to, whoever you want to give, you are trying to give it to. So this is the basically idea. So you got your deployment machines, you want to run the container over there, आपको environment setup करना है. You can entirely package the environment in your containers and supply it over there, right? Yesterday I showed also by pulling a Docker file and then putting the Docker file over there by showing a continuous deployment. जहाँ पे we are getting a Docker file, we are taking the Docker file, we are putting it, and after we put the Docker file over there, then what is happening? Ultimately, उसके अंदर से ना कौन सा जावा चाहिए, कौन सा वर्जन ऑफ टॉमकैट चाहिए, क्या सब चाहिए लेके जा रहा है, फिर उसके ऊपर ले जाके डिप्लॉय करके आ जा रहा है. सो दिस इज व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग, राइट? सो दिस इज हाउ वी यूज्ड टू डू इट. ऐसे ऐसे होता है.
ठीक है, मैं पहला वाला वीडियो देखता हूँ सर.
एक बार देख लो, कोई डाउट हो तो कर क्या रहा है, इतना टाइम क्यों लगा रहा है? Okay, let me just about the process. Hang on a second. Okay. Docker operation continuing in the background. Docker service ls. ये चल रहा है 0.1. Hang on a second. ये वही मैं कह रहा हूँ, मेरी गलती है, मैंने replicas 5 बाहर बाद लगा दिया. It should come over here before the image name. Okay. Hang on a second. rm कर तो मैं remove कर देता. Let me remove this one. Okay. Right. Okay. Fine. See, what I did mistake was that the replicas equal to 5 should go inside, not here. This should come first. Docker service create, I'm saying. So when I'm saying create, I have to say what are the options and then write the image. Okay, let's say replicas equal to, I'm writing 5, not equal to, I think it is simply written like this. You can give a name also if you want this particular deployment to give a name. So you can just give it a name, like let's say name my nginx deployment. Right, so this kind of a name you can give. ये करना चाह रहा था. I wrote it wrong, so it didn't work out only. So you can see it was running 5, it ran 5 services over there. So I mean in the service it ran 5 containers basically, right? So if I go over there, so Docker service ls, so you'll find out it is running 5 replicas, right? Go for Docker container ls. तो यहाँ पे देखोगे 2 services चल रही है. That means the other services are running over here. Let us try it out. to 2 कंटेनर्स. देखो इसमें 3 कंटेनर चल रहा है. नंबर 1, नंबर 2, नंबर 3, right? My Nginx deployment, my Nginx deployment, my Nginx. So 1 ran over here, 2 ran over here. If you would like to see this here, 2 ran over here, 3 ran over here, 4 ran over here, and 5 ran over here. Are you all clear, guys? So when I asked it to run 5 replicas, it ran it here and there, kind of one here, kind of load balancing thing it did. Basically, it started from this machine, kept on coming over here. So one, like that. समझ में आ रहा है ना? Getting the point, right? This is what happens in cluster. Yes, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Pakka, you will be able to do it?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Great.
Sir, I have one question.
Tell me.
How these 2 machines are connected now? This manager and worker.
I had written the command, na? Okay. this line. I joined the swarm, right? I joined the cluster.
Okay.
You forgot?
So, Vishal,
Ah,
do we need to open this 2377 port on both the machines?
no, no, no. Why should we? Because we are connecting to this manager, right? So from here, we want to connect to here. Therefore, here the inbound should be open. If
Only
it
on
is
my
blocked in your firewall, you somewhere you have to open it up. Wherever it is, this port is being hit on. Right. But you can open it up only on your, only within the security group. If you are in the same security group, same firewall, you can open it only within that, because they are anyway referring to each other with their private IPs, not the public IPs, right? You don't need to open it up for the internet. I opened up for the internet, but you do not need to, right?
You mean there is no handshake between these two?
There is no
Handshake between these two.
there is no handshake between these two. It is just that I want to join, because this token
Yeah,
number is there,
that
na?
means.
This token number. If
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
not know the token number, you cannot join.
Okay, okay, okay. That is the confidential
That
thing.
that is the like an OAuth kind of a thing that is going on,
Yeah.
right? Okay, now see this thing. Let me remove. Okay, Docker service RM, whatever I need to find out the service name basically. Whatever the service name is. So if you now come over here, Docker container ls, there is nothing. Here also there will be nothing basically. Right. So now why I cleaned this, because I wanted to show you something. Okay. So when I'm running this Docker service create command, along with this, I can go for a port mapping. Now say this 80 on 80. Okay. Done. Go for Docker PC. Here now it is again running 3, right? So it is running 3 over there, 2, 5, and 3. These 3 are running over here. Okay. And here if I go, 2 should be running over here basically, right? One is 4 and one is 1. Okay, so now I did the port mapping did not work, or is it not just showing over here? Dash P is not a solid flag. Okay, hang on a second. Let me check the Docker service create help. What is the flag for port mapping? Is it dash dash port or something? A dash P, right? Publish a port as a node port. Dash P should work. Okay, let us try it out. Let us go to our security group, open up port number 80, and let us see if we are reaching there. Right, let us see if we are reaching there. So I'll take this particular machine. I'll take let's say the manager's public IP. Anything is fine, right? I'll just take this, I'll put it over there, and here we go. The Nginx server is running, right? Every single time you hit, it will go either here or there, either here or there, right? It is not that just because this IP you are hitting, it is only going to this machine. No, it can go to any of the machines, because all of them are participating in the same cluster. If I hit this one, this machine, I need to open up. Nothing is opened here. Okay, let me show you by opening up the port. So if I open up the port also over here, let's say port number 80, right? Now here also you can see it is coming up, right? So it will come up irrespective of whether you hit this IP or this IP, because they are now currently in a cluster. Any IP you hit, it will always reach to the entire machine, right? Now see this thing. I wanted to show you this thing. Very important. Docker PS, we have got these 2 machines running over here, and here we have the other 5, right? So 1 and 4, right? 1 and 4 over here, 4, 1. Others are over here, 2, 5, and 3. I am leaving the cluster over here, right? I left the cluster, come back here. Docker P, oh sorry. It will get transferred. It will take a little time, but it will get transferred. Just wait for some time. This particular containers, the 3 were running over, they'll come back over here. So just check the Docker service ls. Oh, it says 5 out of 5. Let us go ahead and let us check it out if it has got launched already. Yes, here you go, right? Automatically it's sent over here. These are run just 10 seconds ago. These are running from 2 minutes ago, right? So as soon as they left the swarm, it was automatically migrated to here. Are you all clear on this part? The thing I was telling you, you are very confused what is going on. This is what is going on. Guys,
Yes, sir. Clear.
1.4 was already running, 3, 2, and 5 also came into picture. So 1.4, 3, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of 5 running over here. And of course, right now, if I let's say hit this machine, I will not get anything because this machine is no longer participating, but this machine still works out, right? This one still works out just like that, and this one does not because it is not participating anymore in the cluster. Is everybody 100% sure about this?
Yes.
What we did? Okay.
Yes.
And the port mapping, they are not writing from the container, but they are writing it on the service because we are exposing as a service, right? Clear? The star means 0000, same thing. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
And what is the use of making port mapping?
Who is asking this?
Sunil.
Anybody else wants to answer this question? I will definitely do, but anybody else wants to answer this question? Anybody knows this? Let's say maybe Mallika. So Mithun, anybody? Mithun, you want to answer? Looks like nobody wants to answer.
Yeah, it's simple. If mapping is porting is ports are not open or port mapping is not done, then how those two machines will be communicating? They should need a gateway, right? Gateway or
Yes.
some
Yes.
channel.
The thing is, before making the port, also we are able to transfer the things. But I don't find any differences between after the mapping port and before.
Yeah, just go one step ahead. What about security?
No, I'm just listening to the discussion. I mean, go on, go on. This is going good. I want you to people. I want you people to ultimately reach to the conclusion. I'm seeing that how easily you can reach to the conclusion. Let's find it. I will anyway give you the answer. Don't worry about it. Right. Others want to participate in the discussion. Please do it, man. Don't stay silent. People.
I didn't hear the question. Can anyone repeat that question?
What is the thing? What is the changes after this the implementation of this port mapping?
If the port mapping is not done, the port doesn't know what to do, what the action should require, and what should the action should it do. Like means, if he wants to go out, we don't know where we wants to go. Then we will go anywhere, but we don't know exact path, right?
And
I think you have observed before mapping the port also we are able to go the place.
Okay, but there will be some ports like for suppose if we go for a Linux instance, there will be SSH will be predefinedly it will be open, right?
it was working because earlier the connection was open to the internet. You understand, bro?
Okay.
Connection will be connection or incoming request will be going to over the internet, right? But when you do port to port mapping, it will be more secure, right? That's
Yes.
why without even enabling port, you were able to uh, proceed or your traffic was moving. But after enabling the port, your traffic will move only to a specific port number. I think that was 2773. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That is okay. And you mean to say this is security wise, I agreed. And moreover, one more thing is like without internet also we can go.
That I'm not sure. But as far as my understanding is about firewall, if you don't have a firewall and if it's still your traffic is going, means it's going over the internet. Maybe Vishal can now explain better.
Thanks, friends, for your.
Okay, listen.
So
First of
initially
all,
communication was happening, but how will you verify whether it's happening or not? That's why we're mapping this a port, right?
okay, listen to me. Uh, it was wonderful answers, but unfortunately, all of the answers are wrong. Okay.
Mhm.
The port mapping is not done for transferring the containers from here to here. No relationship with that. That port mapping has no relationship with, let's say, securing or unsecuring like that. It simply
Okay.
means on this host machine IP, which port you want to hit and which port of the container it will take you to. Because it is the container is running on port number 80. Nginx is a web server. So if you hit on port number 80 of the host machine, that is this machine, right? Whatever the public IP of this machine is. If you hit on the port 80 of this one, that should be forwarded to the port 80 of the container. That's what it means. Nothing else.
I think it's yeah, Vishal. Right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, let us say if I'll show you. Let's say just don't just believe me. Take a proof of it. I am deleting this service. Let's say, okay. So service, RM. I'm deleting this service. Let's say this one, right? I'm creating the service once again. I want to do a port mapping of, let's say, port number 8080 to 80. Now, okay, fine. 8080 is a known port, right? We know Tomcat. Leave it. Let us say I'm doing a port mapping of 8000 to 80. 8000 is not a very straightforward port, right? Typically, people do not use it, isn't it? I'm running it. Let me not run this many replicas. It will take unnecessarily long time. Let me run only, let's say, 2 replicas, right? I'm running it. Both of them will run here only because this machine no longer is participating. Okay, now see this. Docker service ls, it mapped port 8000 to 80. Docker container ls. So we can find out that our container is running on port number 80. And we have told that container port 80 has to be mapped with port number 8000 from the outside. That means now if we go and refresh, it is gone. Nothing will open. We have to hit on port 80,000 now. So host port 8000 to be mapped with container port 80. Now see this. Okay, where is the manager? So if I now open up port number 8000, let's say on over here, right? And I save it, then see. If I hit on port number 8000, it will take me over there. Makes sense? So port number 80 of the container is being mapped to port 8000 of the host machine. That's it, nothing else. It has got nothing to do with container migration. Everything will work with or without internet or whatever, port mapping, etc. So Sunil's question was actually absolutely legit. It was a perfectly fine question. That what is happening? You did not see any change at that particular activity because that activity is not being controlled by the port mapping. Okay, it is just that where you hit on the host to reach to the container. Clear?
Thank you, sir.
And why I kept it 80 on 80? Because typically that is the practice. You usually keep the same ports. You do not keep on changing it.
Yeah, so Vishal, just one question. In Docker, we can have a multiple OEM, right? I mean, different services like Nginx, Postgres, or
Come again. I just missed it. Tell me once again.
okay. So on top of Docker, we can have multiple OEM, means a third-party application like MySQL, Postgres, Nginx, Tomcat, and other, right?
Correct. Correct.
So, in that sense, for each of the applications or OEM, we can have a different port number, and using the same port number, we can even forward our traffic to what we call that slave container, right?
Each of the container will be having their own port. If you are replicating, then of course all of them will be having the same port because that is the same thing being replicated. But if you are running, let's say 5 different containers, the 5 different containers will run on 5 different ports. 2 containers cannot run on the same port unless they are the same replication.
Okay, yeah, fine.
Okay, means I cannot install HTTPD also running on port 80, Nginx is also running on port 80. Impossible. Both of them are web servers, but 2 web servers cannot run on the same port. I mean, where will you reach if you want to hit that, right? That is a confusion, isn't it?
And if I have Nginx, why should I use Tomcat first of all?
Tomcat you have to use if you are using Nginx. Tomcat and Nginx are not connected. Tomcat is an application server. Nginx is a web server. They're 2 different things. But Nginx, if you have, you do not need to use HTTPD anymore. I mean, you may also. I'm not saying that you should not. You may use HTTPD. Maybe you are running two applications together on the same host machine.
Vishal sir, just now you said like Nginx is an application server, is it?
Nginx is a web server. HTTPD is a
Yeah.
web server. Nginx, Tomcat is an application server. I told.
Okay, Tomcat is okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody, any more doubt on this particular part? Anybody? This clusterization is where your actual task is starting. So far, whatever you did, that was just a kid's game. That is not even.
Vishal sir, shall I ask one more question?
Mm.
This Tomcat is related to HTTPD, right?
Tomcat is what?
HTTPD.
HTTPD has got no relation with Tomcat. Why? I mean, what are you asking?
I'm getting confused. What was my web services I was using last time? It was not Nginx.
Listen. Nginx, it is not called Nginx, it is called Nginx. Nginx is a web server that can host a website or web pages or whatever, HTML pages, Angular pages, React pages, whatever technology you're using, front end pages. This guy, HTTPD is also a web server that can host Angular pages, React, something that ultimately resolves into an HTML page in the client side.
Okay.
Application server means where the application is running. Let's say, for example, I have written a application on Java, so that is my backend. It is communicating with the database. It's a lot of things, logical computations. That is the application.
Oh,
Application does not necessarily come with a front end. Let's say it is the Git that we install, right? The typical Git on the machine. The Git is an application. Git does not come with a front end. Jenkins is an application which comes with a front end. The front end is not mandatory for an application, right? Right now we're using Docker. Where is the front end? Nothing, right? We are just using the backend services. We are just writing commands and using it. There is no graphical user interface, right? Clear?
yeah,
Websites are kept
explore a bit
on
more.
web server. Web applications are kept on application servers. An application server can still host a website if it wants to, because hosting a website is a subset of hosting a web application. But a web server cannot host a web application. It can only host a website.
Okay.
Right. Typically, when you take a server from, let's say, GoDaddy or somewhere, and you say that I'm getting a cPanel, seen this kind of things, right? Getting a cPanel, and you can upload your files over there. Your website will be live, right? People do this kind of things. Website. You cannot host a web application by taking a server from GoDaddy. You have to actually take a full server. I mean, when we say get a server in how much? 1,600 rupees per year, right? This kind of easy, very cheap things. They are basically just able to host websites. They are automatically running an Apache 2 web server over there. Apache 2 means HTTPD, same thing. HTTPD, what we call in Red Hat, the same thing we call Apache 2 in Ubuntu. The page looks a little different, but they are ultimately the same server. The name is a little different. Apache 2, because it is the current version is 2.4. Apache 2.4 web server, that is the full name. Apache 2.4 HTTP web server, that is the full name. So these guys call it HTTPD, those guys call it Apache 2. They're the same things. Okay. And Nginx is a completely different, this one. The tech stories website, we are changing the website. Right now it is in, I think, maintenance mode. It is not, I mean, probably the older one you'll be able to see that, it is not a very good looking, but the newer one that is coming. Last night I was doing this deployment. So that one is running on Nginx server, which is routed to Apache Tomcat because of a Java application running behind it. You will never hit port number 8080 on the production. We do not need to. It is routed from the Nginx. The Nginx is a web server. It is so powerful. It can itself do an application load balancing. So whenever there is a particular slash something coming, we can send it to localhost 8080, because on the localhost on port number 8080, Tomcat is running. So you do not need to open up 8080 on the public port ever. You can use an application load balancing. So techstories.com/ a particular part, whenever you run, that will automatically redirect to the application server. In this way it is done. So, application load balancing is built into Nginx. Application load balancing is a very important thing, extremely important. People don't understand it, but it is very important. Anyway,
Sir, if you don't mind, shall I ask you one more question? Sir, actually, I have a doubt. In the production scenario, how this we presently we have made 5 replicas here. Okay.
Mm.
If I take the real time experience, for example, these are the five, the single code set we are distributing into five copies, correct?
Single what?
Single script.
Single script. Okay. Huh?
We are making five replicas,
Mm.
and we are distributing into the team members of the our cluster, correct?
Okay.
Okay. Afterwards, if they update after the updation, again they will close the cluster. The swarm will be they're leaving the swarm, and they again come back to this manager level, correct?
Means ultimately the total number of replicas are maintained. Right? That's what is happening. Total number of replicas is always maintained.
Okay.
If there are total 5 and this guy leaves, the 3 will be transferred here. So totally it will always be 5.
Okay. And if you know where is this application will be happening, because these five replicas will be retained, but what is the use in that means, end user application?
Your Nginx, this we are just running a blank Nginx over here. Typically, you are supposed to write an Nginx where it has got some website loaded to it. So if there are 5 replicas running of this machine, that is like launching 5 AMIs using a load balancer on the Amazon. If I just try to draw a reference just for your understanding,
Okay.
if we draw a reference from, let's say, Amazon AWS, what you do over there when you add a load balancer and you put an auto scaling group, you put 5 replicas over there. 5 machines are running on the same thing, same AMI. Why do you do it? A lot of people are coming, you can support, right? So if 5 people are coming into picture, if there is only one replica, then that is like, let's say one replica can support 100 users. 5 are coming means what? You have got 95 left in one replica, right? But if there are 5 replicas running, so then 1 so everywhere you have got 99 left. So that means your total capacity becomes 500 instead of 100. More replicas you start.
Okay. Yeah.
Getting
I
the
got
point.
it. I got it.
And since it is like just a Docker container, so it can be like, the more machines you have, the more you can widespread machines leave it, you can launch it somewhere else. So it is like very fluid. You wanted to have 5 replicas, you have 5 replicas, right? You don't need to worry about all those things. That's the best part about it. I just see one thing. Let me see it first. If I go to this update, right? Let me see the update once. What we can do with the update? I think we can change either the update of the scale. We can change the number of replicas running right now. Array, it got stuck. Let me just check it. Either with the update or with the help or with the scale, we can scale one or multiple replicate service. I think that scale we can use. We can scale it even more. I mean, we started with 2, but later we felt that no, we want to go for some more, right? Let me search it on the Google. It will be easier for me. Docker service update to Docker service change number of replications. Scale, right? I told you Docker service scale. See this. Docker service scale replicas equal to replicas. How do they write it exactly? Service equal to replicas. Okay, like this. Docker service scale service equal to replicas. Fine, great. Let's try it out. Let's try this command, right? Docker service scale. These are an example. Scale front equal 50. Yeah, see. So they are scaling it up immediately, right? So you can write a script like this that is actually doing it. So if let's say, let us find out what is the service. Docker service ls. This is the service, right? So let's say I want to go like Docker, or you can go by the name also. Docker service scale this one to, let's say, 10. Scale to 10, right? So you can see 2 are already running. It started another 8. Right.
Yes.
So now go for Docker. Array. What is this? Okay. Docker service ls. Okay. 10 out of 10 replicas running. All of them are running here because we don't have another machine. We have left it. If we had joined, it might have gone over there also. So now if I go to Docker PSV, there are 10 containers running, right? Same thing. Clear? 18 second, 90 seconds. These are 12 minutes.
Yes.
So 2 were already there, it become 10. So this is the benefit, right? You can scale up, scale down so frequent, right? You just go and scale down to 1, come back to 1, right? It takes little time 4321 stable service converged. Right, great. So now go for Docker PS and says, sorry. It is just running only one, right? Clear? So this we can automatically scale up, scale down. That is the benefit of a cluster. That is the benefit of using service. You can play completely whichever way you want. Fine. So if we are clear with this, let us try to see the stack deploy part. Shall we?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. So I just added this node back. I wanted the join token, so I ran this command docker swarm join token worker. So I got the worker join token. I added it back, right? So now, okay, if I want to do a stack deploy, first of all, I need to install Docker Compose. Others will not work out. So right, so Docker Compose is installed. Let me create quickly two Docker files, right? Docker file. Let us do that thing we did, right? So let us create one Tomcat and one Apache, and we'll build it through that, right? So the example we did yesterday, that kind of, right? So let's say Docker file dot httpd. Okay. So I just want to install HTTP. I don't want to install Ubuntu server and on that Apache. That doesn't make sense. Let us just install HTTP, right? So this will go like from HTTPD, right? And we have to just run it. So let's find it out in Docker Hub. Let's try to see about HTTPD, how to write it down. Is it written over there? From Docker public.html to user local Apache to htdocs. Okay, fine, great. Why not we do a complete deployment, right? Let's do a deployment, right? So this is a Docker file. Let us copy this Docker file. So this is where we have to use a local Apache to htdocs. So create a Docker file. This commands to build Docker image. What I want to see is that, is this how you copy something? I think so. Okay, public HTML. Okay, let's put this thing. So they are 2.4 they are writing. I told you, right? The latest version. You remember, na? 2.4 is the latest version. So I want to copy something from, let's say, I'll create a new HTML file with the name, let's say index.html, okay, which I don't have it, but I'll create one, right? So I created a Docker file. Let me create a file, right? So I'll call this thing index.html. So vi index.html. Let me write down one single text over here that this is the Apache 2.4 HTTP server. Okay. And it's not writing. I think it is getting a little slow. Now it's fine. And I'm going to write down, let's say, practicing deployment through stack deploy on swarm on HTTPD through Docker file, right? Just so that we understand that what is going on here, right? So we have an index.html and we have told that when you build this, this should come up with this, right? Let us create another Docker file, right? A vi, I'm going to call vi docker file dot tomcat. Okay, so this is one, right? So let me create the tomcat Docker file. So from tomcat, let's say 8 jre8. I'm taking the version 8 of tomcat. I'm going to write down okay, I forgot to do the expose over there. So expose, let's say port number. Actually, you do not need if you're doing directly, but it is a good idea to expose port 8080, let's say. And also what I want to do, I want to run the cmd Catalina.sh, I think run, that was the one, or start, something like that. Catalina.sh run, yes, Catalina.sh run. That's what we are writing. And in the Tomcat, we are not deploying anything, but we are just having the Tomcat. So on that one, we are deploying, let's say. So this is more or less the idea. We have installed Docker Compose. Let us quickly create a Docker Compose YAML file. Docker compose.yaml, right? So let us open it up and let us go to start writing. Service is going to be, sorry, it's not service, sorry, version is going to be 3. Okay. And services we have got. So let us create the services. The first service we've got is, what do you call it? Let's say HTTPD service. Okay. Got this particular thing, and I'm going to call this. So these will be running as a service when you do a service ls. That is the idea basically. So we are going to take the image, or okay, fine. Let's say the build context is going to be the local directory, right? And hey, how to write this particular thing? I'm forgetting the format. Wait a second. Docker compose with Docker file. This is not what I was looking for. Wait a second. Build ports. Okay. Hey, that is okay. Web build dot ports. No, build dot will only work if that doesn't have a different name, right? With the custom name, it will not work out. So build with the custom name, it will not work out. Hang on a second. Build context. Yeah, correct. I think it is called Docker file. This one, not wrong. Docker file is going to be Docker file dot let's say HTTPD. Okay, this is the one. And the ports we are going to do is port mapping. We're going to do 80 on 80. Okay. Create another service over here. I'm going to call it Tomcat service. Build context is going to be dot, and Docker file is going to be Docker file dot tomcat, and ports is going to be, let's say 8080 mapped on 8080. Okay, that's it. Let us try to see a Docker compose config how it is working. Oh, what happened over here? I did something wrong. I don't need to write it. Just Docker compose config is fine. It'll automatically take it. It is wrong. See, service build connection ports. Okay, we cannot write the ports like this. Let us take it out of here. Okay, I got the point. It has to come with in here. This gapping is very much important to be kept properly. Oh, yes, it is done, right? So it is working perfectly fine. So now let us try to quickly go ahead and quickly do the thing. I don't know if it will work or not, but I'm just expecting it to work. So now the idea is that we have to go for a, what? We have to go for a stack deploy, right? Okay, so now we have got a command called docker stack deploy, which you can use over here. So see this thing, you can go like docker stack deploy. Look at this. This is your docker stack, right? So it's docker stack deploy a new stack or update an existing stack. Okay, ls we have got, so you can see the list of stacks we have and all those things, right? So now when we have, let's say, a docker stack deploy, right? So how we can do this thing, we have to mention which is the compose file. So see how to know these things. Just do one by one and keep on pressing help and check it out. Okay, so you can see there is a compose file, right? Or you can write -c, whatever. You have to mention the compose file and you have to say that which is the compose file, and ultimately you have to write down the stack name. Docker stack deploy, compose file name, stack name. Let's try to do it. Docker stack deploy, compose file name is going to be docker compose.yaml, and then ultimately the stack name is, let's say, my stack, right? I'm just writing my stack. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to run it. Now build, okay, failed, unsupported options build. Hey, wait a second. How do we write it? This is already build context and docker files. What was the problem?
I think the context double inverted comma was not there.
That is why, maybe. Array. I think nowhere the double is here. Also, you can go without it. But double inverted comma is not doing any problem because uh, it was getting converted successfully, right? When we did the docker compose config, see, it was successfully getting converted. So that is not a big deal. But why is the build failing? Let me try a simple docker compose upd. Let us see what happens. I mean, on a single server, basically, if we are doing. This is working. See, I canceled it, but it was working, right? So do I have some images? No. Docker ps all. Okay. There is an Nginx running. Do I have some service? Oh, I think I have the service, right? I didn't kill it. Let me delete it. But why is the stack deploy not working? Let me find out the documentation of stack deploy. Just a second, man. Stack deploy. This is the one, right? Okay. Docker stack deploy dash dash compose file, and the compose file name they are writing whatever their compose file is called. And this is this thing name, right? Why is the build not working? Mm, This is build, right? Service web, they're writing the image. They are taking the image from a local. Anyway, we are taking from, and they're doing a build. So in the build, they are doing a dot because it's in local directory, but I am writing the Docker file name also. Just because my Docker file name is not exactly the same as what the typical Docker file names are. Why is this building not working in stack deploy? What is going wrong? Ignoring uncertain. Here it worked, right? These guys tried it, and this is the message that came for them also. They are telling that this is how it works. Creating network. Again, I think I have to build it first. Then I can go for doing this particular thing. I think if I want to deploy the stack to the swarm, so create a stack with stack deploy and Docker stack service demo. Okay, fine. So I have to first go ahead and build it. Then only probably I can do the stack deploy. I think so. Okay, what is the error it is giving me? What was the error? Failed to create service. Error response on daemon PC. Container specific image reference must be provided. Okay. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I've written something wrong. I've done something wrong over here. Docker file to Tomcat, and what is the name over here? Docker file to Tomcat only, right? So this build is failing. Docker file to Tomcat build. Are the names same? Am I seeing something wrong? They're same, right? Docker file, Docker file. Okay. This is the one where it is failing. So let us try to VI the Docker file once. Maybe 8GR8 is not present or something like that. Let us see. No, compromised HTTP service. Okay. Image reference. What am I missing, man? What exactly am I missing? I'm missing something. That is why this particular thing is not working. Give me a second. Let me think about it. So there is a particular format of writing Docker Compose file with when you are trying to write it with let's say the typical these things. So that format is going wrong. That is why it is not taking. Nothing else. There is no other problem. Let me go ahead and let me check this one once. Wait a second. Docker file.tomcat. I am writing from Tomcat expose 8080 Catalina sh run, right? Catalina.sh run. Okay, this part is fine. Let me just check the Docker one by one things. HTTPD from HTTP 2.4 copy something to here. Okay, fine. This comes after build, nothing to worry. VI docker compose.yml. I'm writing version is 3. The services I wrote 2 service. One is HTTPD service, Tom service. In HTTPD service, under the build, I wrote the context as dot and the Docker file name as whatever the Docker file name is. And then I did the port mapping on 80/80. Okay. And here I did a context equal to in dot. And Docker file is Docker file to Tomcat. Ports is 8080 on 8080, which looks pretty much good to me. And in fact, on local, I could run it also. It was working, right? When I was trying to do it on local. Let us try to do this. docker compose build. Let us do the building complete. I'm not turning on the operations. I'm just doing the build. That's it. It builds images, right? So now, if we actually go to Docker PS, there is nothing. But if we go to Docker images, we'll find out other things are there. Tom service and the HTTPD service, right? These things are running. Okay, so now let's try to go for stack deploy. Maybe it was waiting for this one. I'm not sure. Let me see. Compose file is docker compose.yml, and then we have the last thing is what was the last thing? Forgetting things. There was stack name basically, my stack, right? No. Valid argument, container specification, image reference must be provided. What does this mean? Okay, this is something it seems I have to look a little bit because typically this thing works. I think I have to go for the labels and all those things. It will work. Deploying a stack to swarm, right? So this is the page, help page. It should be here. Whatever you're doing, they're creating a new registry. Not required actually. They're creating a service first. They're creating a folder. They're changing directory. So there are a lot of Python code. A lot of things are written which are not required over here. And then they are saying that take from Python this and that. These things are not required. Just looking for the image reference. But the image has to be built by this one, right? So I think I have to play with the labels and all those things, then it will come. Fine, cool, we'll do this thing tomorrow. We'll not do it today. The stack deploy part, right? So this part is remaining. I'll do the stack deploy tomorrow when I will know that how we can actually use a compose file and deploy using that one, right? Because I have to see this part a little bit because this particular thing I am unable to. I don't want to simply copy and paste commands from there. This will definitely work 100%, but I don't want to do that. I want to first figure out what we are doing and why it is going wrong, right? And then probably I will fix that particular thing, right? Otherwise I'll not do. But this message is a particular message. It should come. It is not happening only because I did not give the image this thing over here. But that means if I write down the image, it will work. But my question is, why should I? It should be dynamic. I can, in my compose file, if I give the image references, let's see, EC2 user Tom service, right? That is the image name, right? If I give the image reference, it will work. But I don't want that. What was that? EC2 user, I think this will work. HTTPD service, something like this, right? And this is like EC2 user. Okay. Now this guy is telling that the build contains an unsupported option image and all those things, right? So anyway, fine. Let's leave this thing because I have to figure it out. I cannot do it like this, simply trying to do anything without understanding. Let me just have a look into this particular thing, why I am failing to do this. And these guys are getting image, but when I am trying to do an image, I think I put it in within the build or something like that. Anyway, we'll try to see this thing tomorrow. Are you fine? Is it okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine, cool. So you can leave the meeting. I think I will just try it out once. So if we can start leaving the meeting.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yeah, bye bye. क्लास ले रहा हूँ, यहीं से क्लास ले रहा हूँ, मॉर्निंग बैच। Oh, here it goes. Anybody still there in the meeting? Naveen Kumar and Junaid. Okay. In case you're watching, this is what it went wrong. Okay. So now Docker PS, if I do these things, no, they're not creating service. Okay, Docker service. So that means they're running on that machine. Docker service ls. You can see this particular thing is running. So if, oh no, it is telling 0 out of 1. Okay. That means they are not yet running. Okay. I need to actually see this. What's going on? But it is taking in the service, right? So replica 0 out of 1. Why? How much time are they taking to start? Still 0 out of 1 replicated. Okay, but why? Are they going to come back? No, they're not going to come back. It doesn't look like. I have to figure out what to do with them. Fine, I'll close the meeting.